Okay, hello, this is Dr. Janes, and today I'm going to talk about how to build a voice-controlled robot using the Boebot with the tank tread, the Boebot robot, the tank tread modifications, and adding the EasyVR shield to the top. So let's take a look at this, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the nuances of this project. Now, so here's our tank tread robot, and it's voice controlled now. What we've done is we've gone through and we've modified, I'll go through the program a little bit, and we've modified test EasyVR, and I've changed that to turn it into my robot program. And so if you look at the Boebot, one thing to keep in mind is that let's take a look. Refocus the camera. So there is servos that you can control. You know, you can do servos right out of the pins, but if you want to add a little bit more power to them, you need to put some extra power on the rails. And this robot has 4 pins that it does that for: 12, 13, and 10 and 11. And I found by trial and error and looking through the EasyVR shield here that it communicates on 12 and 13, so I had to switch my my servos for my wheels over here onto 10 and 11, and that's kind of too bad. I have to look to see if there's a workaround, because I'd like to be able to have some extra servos if I want to add some pinchers or guns or chainsaws or something to the robot, you know, to stop intruders or the evil New World Order. Because I mean, how are you going to stop the evil New World Order and fight against them? That they're building robots to attack you. You need to defend yourself by building your own robot army. Let's face it, guns are great, but robots are better, right? A puppet soldier for you, or something to go get your beer, or open the refrigerator, do the dishes, whatever. You need robots to do stuff for you, and so voice control robot is a great way to do it. So let's plug her in, and we'll give an example of what. So we have the plug up in front, and I have, of course, the battery pack down below. So we're going to power it off of the battery pack. Here we go. So we'll plug the plug into the front of our robot. I can do that with one hand. There we go. And we get the lights on the robot, and we have our little microphone just kind of hanging down in the front. I haven't mounted it permanently, and we have our speaker there. And so let's try running Boebot. Okay, so the command sequence that I've been using is first I say robot. Okay, so it recognized my command because it beeped. Run. Forward 5. Oops. You know what I did? There's a little switch over here. I turn that off, turn it to setting 1, so the treads don't move around while I'm testing the program. But see, there's a little green light that comes on, and that activates the servos. Robot, run, forward 5. Okay, and so now he goes forward 5. Robot, backwards. Backwards 5. 5. 5. Oh, it must have gone forward again. Robot, run, backwards 5. Okay, here we go. Of course, you want to be able to make them turn and stuff also, right? Because you can't go to your destination and fight a war with them if you can't make them go left or right. So robot, run, left, 9. 9. Okay, there we go. So here he's turning around, about face, Robot, run. Forward. 5. Okay, there we go. So our little attack robot is all voice controlled, and I will, for those out there who are interested in, let's just run it again. Robot, run. Forward. 3. So I made it so it can run different amounts. I put a delay in there so it'll go different distances, and it will respond to forward, backwards, left, or right. And you can have it do other things too, because there's other commands that it will respond to, but it just takes more programming. So let's take a look at the program, and then you guys can maybe modify it or copy it if you want. It is a great project. Okay, so here we have the original test EasyVR, which is an example program that comes with the robot, and I just wanted to modify that because it's a great place to start. And why not use work other people have done and build onto it to make something more useful rather than reinventing the wheel, right? We all know about reinventing the wheel. That's what all of corporate engineering is about, right? Keep us all busy so we don't think too much, because thinking's dangerous, right? That's what schools teach us not to do, is think. So anyway, here's a real school. I'm going to teach you good stuff here. So this is the original program, and there's a bunch of comments at the beginning. Now the first thing we had to change is if you look in here, I added the servo library. So here's include, servo H, and servo library, and I attached the servos to the left and right servos. And so let's go down a little bit more, and I believe the next thing we did was in setup, because setup is the first thing that you do. You set up your stuff before you run your main loop. Arduino programs have two main parts of the program. They have setup, where you do your initial setup, where you do things once, and then you have the loop where it does stuff over and over again. And so since we're going to do things like set up the servos, see in here it's setting up the communications to the VR, and so before we do that we're going to attach servos to 11 and 10, because remember I said that 12 and 13 are unfortunately conflicting with communications from the EasyVR, and I want to look into that to see if I can get around that somehow, but that is an unfortunate conflict, and it limits restricts to the servos that I can't use. And so okay, let's go down a little bit further. So I think that's all I changed in setup. So there's a bunch of garbage in here for it to do communications and stuff. And actually, did I change some more stuff in here? Let's see. Here's the different commands that are pre-programmed into this that goes through these different sets. Now what I had to do is I wanted to set it so it only uses this set of codes, and it has different modes that it's set up into initially, and I didn't want to have to force it into those modes by typing those particular modes initially. So I went in through and I modified the program by taking out all the other options. Okay, so it has some things in here where it has some variables where one of them is grammar and one of them is a couple other modes, and I just took those modes out. Let's see if I can find where those are. Read num, check monitor input. Okay, so here's some of the token stuff where it's okay. So this is right after check monitor input, which is this subprogram, and see, it says tokens, commands, grammar. These are different modes that this program goes into, and I basically went in and erased all the other modes that I didn't want, and only left the grammar mode, I believe. So it's going through and it's checking all this garbage and stuff, and I basically, okay, here we go. So RX, if RX equals R, I didn't care about that mode. If RX equals P, and I've removed all the other if-then statements. So you can see here, none of those if-then statements are inside of my check monitor input. I just removed all those and forced it to only do the mode that I want it to do, which is the token mode, RX equals B. Okay, and so I removed the if-then statement to even check to see that, I believe. Yeah, so all these other if-then statements I took out, and that forces it into the mode that I want it to be in, which is, where is it? If it equals D, so all this garbage I just took out. I don't even see it. Okay, here it is. So this is the only part that I kept of this subprogram check monitor input. So see, from the beginning, check monitor input is a Boolean return, and so this is the extent of what's left there. Now let's go to the loop. Now this is the let's go down here. So this garbage is gone now. And okay, here's void loop, void loop. So if we compare here, what I did is I added some variables because I wanted to, it loops through and it goes to the first set, which has just got robot in it, and then the second step is stuff like run or attack or other things, and I really don't use that set. We could modify the robot to do different things on those, but I go to the third step where I say forward or backwards or whatever, and I want to save that information into a variable. And some of these variables, actually, I don't know if you noticed at the very beginning, I had to make them global variables. So that means I put them at the very front of the program. So here's right speed and left speed. I made those global variables. And the other one, by fluke, I didn't have to make it a global variable, so I just left it, the delay one. So what we're going to be doing here, see if we can find our spot again. Back at the beginning of void loop. Okay, so I have a few things. I'm telling it, I'm setting the robot tank tread speeds to 0 initially, and so I had to kind of fiddle around with it. So servo right and servo left have 0 points at 1480 and 1495. I had to twiddle with those until the tank treads here stopped turning by themselves, because I start with 1500. I figure that's about the middle, and it isn't exactly. For these, servos have different offsets. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in to the program and use some if-then statements as it loops through, and it goes into set 1, which is robot, which I don't care about. Set 2 is attack or run, or I don't care about that. But I'm going to latch on to set 3, and so here we are. Some if-then statements I added. If it's set 3, then I modified the get word part. Let's look at that first. So we had to okay, so we put our delays in there, and there's a spot where, let's do a search on get word. Okay, so we'll do edit, find, and I want to find get word, which is a variable that I added. Find next. Okay, so here is the spot in the program. So normally it had this command, EasyVR get word, inside of here, and it would just throw the value of that word. So different words like left might have a value of 0 or something, right might have a value of 1. It will save that into get word, and then as it loops through, so let's look at the normal program. Okay, where are we? We're in check monitor input. So this is actually up here. I did modify check monitor input to save that variable. Okay, so these if-then statements are not in there. I got rid of all this garbage, but I added this particular change where it says EasyVR. It was a print serial word, and then it had this command inside of it. Okay, so it's after IDX. So let's do a search over here on IDX. Edit. Find ID. IDX equals EasyVR. Let's do a search on that. Okay. So here is the original part of the program where it had the it was calling. Okay, it's right here. We're just printing the EasyVR get word. So what I did is I took this command outside of the print and set it into a variable which I defined earlier, and I put that variable back into there, so it will still print that variable, but now this variable's saved so that when we loop around this get word, it's saving that value. So if we go to check to see if we're in set 3, so we're checking right down here. I found that you had to check in certain parts of the program. So this is actually inside of okay, this is inside of void loop. We are checking this command, saving the get word, and then we go down and here it says set plus plus. So right after it says set plus plus, I'm adding in some code here. This is the original here. I'll add in some code, and see, it says checking for grammar. Let's make sure we're in the right set. Okay, so this is where this part is. So it's right before this set plus plus right there. Alright, so we're going up a little bit, and if set is less than 4, so we added in some if-then statements here. So my if-then statements start here. So set plus plus, and then it says if set equals 3, then, so we're selecting. Set 1 has just got robot in it, set 2 has got like attack and whatever, set 3 has got the forward, reverse, whatever. So we're going to set right speed and left speed, which is values we're going to add to the servo, to plus 200 to make it go forward, or minus 200 to make it go backward. We're going to set the left, I guess the right one, is that right? I thought I had this backwards. Oh, we set the left one to go forward to go right, 200, and set the other one to 0. So if one of the tank treads goes forward and the other one stays, it will do an arc. I mean, you could do a spin in place by setting one minus and one plus, or it's up to you how you want to do that. And twiddle around with the left and right. I think I did change the values, but I didn't change the comments. But you had to, I believe, set the left one to go forward if you want it to turn right, and right one to go forward if you want it to turn left, or vice versa. And then I had another set where I'm getting the value on set 4, and then I'm instead of using that to control the direction it goes, I'm putting the delay on there. So if we go down, so here's where I'm setting the get word to delay, because on set 4 it's just taking a number and it's like you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to add that into the delay and then multiply it by how long it waits. And so here we go. And then what it does is it resets, so we're going to execute the command kind of a little bit later, I found, but we're going to check to see if it's on set 0, which means that it just reset. It went through the whole set of commands, the 4 robot, whatever, blah blah blah, number, and then it resets back to 0. So now, and it just beeped up here, it says play sound beep, so right after the beep, which is, we go down in this program over here, and we look for the beep, play sound beep. So all of my program is after that, and so I'm putting this if-then statement in there to check if it's on set 0. And now we're going to execute our commands, and here we're writing speeds into the left and right servos using the 0 points here, and adding left speed and right speed, so whatever we set it to. If we set it to 0 or plus 200 or minus 200, it's going to go that fast. And then it's got a delay here, which is a half a second times the delay number that we put into there. So if we said 0, it'll move 0, 1, it'll move half a second. If we do 9, it will move 4.5 seconds, right? So it'll move that far and then stop again. We'll tell the servos to stop. And so this stops the servos, and then we're ready to start the next set. So it can do the next command. And I believe that was all the modifications that I had to make to the program. And so if you're interested, I think there's enough information here to replicate it or get your own ideas on how to modify it. It took me a while to figure out how to modify this program because it was kind of spaghetti logic according to my logic, but I just got rid of a lot of the junk in there and added the good stuff in, and now we have a killer robot that is voice activated and can go forward and backwards. And now we need to put some interesting weapons on it or something, put some arms on it so it can do stuff or whatever. So if you guys are interested, we will continue with the Arduino voice controlled robot. And this is Dr. Janes, and thanks for watching.